Yeah, so kind of getting back right into philosophy and stuff. I don't know if you had anything profound, anything you had thought about past couple weeks besides the stuff we kind of hit on, or maybe extrapolate on anything we talked about.
I mean,
I got
honestly,
stuff. So if you, it's
actually,
fine.
yeah, I'd like to hear what you have to say. Actually,
Okay, so I think typically, I people who know me kind of know more what I'm about, but I thought I'd talk a little bit about. I don't think I've talked about it on the podcast specifically, but kind of my whole goal and the message I want to spread, the core message, right? Like I said, I'm a new Christian, so I'm not totally about, or at least confident enough to evangelize yet. Same woman at the well problem that we talked about earlier. Um, that's part of
I
this
love the big
podcast.
reference to that.
Yeah, I think it's a bit. This podcast was almost called "Gamer at the Well," but I thought maybe that was. We
Yeah,
like the
yeah,
name that we're at.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
uh, yeah, I thought it'd be good to blend the two, right? To just start talking about it, not trying to like knock on doors and evangelize, but just open a conversation and not just have it be about religion, not just about entertainment or just philosophy, but like talking about all these things. People are complex. People have complex, ideas and uh, what's it called, hobbies, and so yeah, that's I think they can meld and blend. But for me specifically, my biggest goal has been for a long time just to be there for my kids. I think that's super important. And a lot of today's societal problems, I think, can stem from people that just weren't raised right or don't have good role models in their lives. And that's prevalent in today's society because the amount of people that grow up without fathers, is very high. And whether the dad is there or not, they can be helpful or not to their development, and it makes a huge impact on the way that the person is raised and the person acts afterwards, right?
Mm.
It's funny in some cases, to get to the league, the NFL, right? I've heard people say like, "Oh, if you come from like a two-parent home, you don't got the drive," right? Like as if coming from like a single-parent home or no parent home gives you something positive to take from it, right? Something like a drive to be great despite all that. But that comes from like I think a personal thing where you have to kind of examine your situation and play the hand you're dealt. I think that's a great way to look at it. I don't necessarily subscribe to that, but I thought it was funny, kind of accurate in some cases. Terrible joke, but I always joke with Julia, with my friends, that like if I want some D1 babies, I'm gonna have to step out after a couple years.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, never would. But
Oh
the
gosh.
I think everyone can get really caught up in the 24-hour news cycle, especially with media and the news how it is today, and it's always doom and gloom and what's wrong with the world, right? There's always a new story of something that's terrible, and nothing's ever like okay, right? That's to get clicks. That's to just like keep people's attention all the time, but it's not healthy, you know. I think a big part of what you can do is like just block that out, zone it out, and focus on what you can control. That was one of my bulletproof ways to improve your life is just block out all the noise and focus on what you affects you and what you can control directly, right? And part of that, to that effect, I think, like we said, all the problems we wouldn't be having as many if everyone kind of just got their house in order and made sure that they raised their kids right, right? Be the role
Mm,
model in your life to someone else that you didn't have, right? Whoever you
mm,
wanted, whoever you wish you had in your life, be that person for someone else. And not just for your family, not just for your kids, but for anyone you interact with. That's something that I've kind of realized more recently with the past couple of years because it's always been a goal of mine to be there for my family. But what I've realized is that you can have a profound impact on anybody you interact with for any given amount of time, right? And you don't know. Sometimes they don't always tell you, but if you go out with a positive mindset and just lead by example and try to set a standard for how you live your life, that gives a role model to somebody else, whether you know it or not, you know? So I think focusing on that is really important. I wish more people would. That's kind of my whole goal. I want to push for that. I want to push for people to be uh, own their own business, like have their own stuff, their money coming for themselves, right? That just own their own lives, right? Be there for their kids, be healthy because that's such a big part of it. Connects to everything. Like we said, it all kind of connects. It's all overflowing into one another. You improve one part, and inevitably, it's going to affect another part of your life. I just think all of that is very important, and I want to spread that message more than anything, right? So if I helped you with that or anything, let me know. I've actually already gotten like different messages and stuff about things I've said. This is what I needed to hear today. Thank you, and you never know who needs to hear it. And so that's really humbling, and that's why I want to keep doing this and push to get this out to more people, because not everybody thinks about it. Some people are going through tough times and they need to hear these things, right? It's hard to extrapolate this knowledge when you're in a defeated state, right? And one of the things that really helped me when I was in a bad place, as far as coming to the faith, was Jesus doesn't. It's almost like a hospital, right? Jesus doesn't treat those who are healthy, right? He treats those who need it, who are sinners, who are prostitutes, and whatever else, right? Those are the people that are going to be treated at Jesus' hospital, for this analogy. It's not the ones that are served, that are already faithful, right? He loves those people too, but they're not the ones that need his direct attention and intervention. So that kind of helped me when I was in a lower place, as far as just getting out of it and establishing who I wanted to be and ways to get there.
Oh my gosh, I can tell you've been meditating on this one, man.
Well, it's a lot, and it's a couple messages, but it's definitely something I can talk about for a while, and it's my passion.
Okay.
I thought for a long time I wanted to be a football coach, and I still do at some point. I love football, and it brings a lot of these lessons to life. But I found through this and other means, there's other ways to share these messages.
Interesting. It's funny because I was going to ask you about, what was your interest in regards to like football moving forward, because I never got the impression that you were like, I don't want to say obsessed, but like committed to it at the point where like it's your life necessarily. I never got that impression from you, because I always felt like you enjoyed it, you participated in it, you enjoyed the different disciplines that come with it, the camaraderie with your teammates. Like I can see you appreciate that. But I never got the impression like that was going to be your life.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, it's interesting. I was gonna, I'm glad you're kind of touching on that now, because I was trying to figure out where was that going to.
Well, sure. Yeah, I can answer that more directly. And it's been such a big part of my life for so long, and I never wanted to be like in the NFL. I was never one of those kids that wanted to have that dream, or I never thought I'd be like a super good football player or anything. Not to say that I'm crazy good or anything, but I like barely scratched my way into the D1 program at the end, my last year of eligibility. But it was fun. I had a lot of fun, and like you said, I loved all those things that came with it. The role models that I didn't necessarily have, that I was presented with, and the camaraderie I got from it, the life lessons I learned. I love the sport. I think it's super valuable. I always tried to be that guy that was super driven and did everything right, but admittedly, I wasn't all the time, right? And I don't know. It's just different. Some people, and that's what I think it takes to get to the league. You have to be uncompromising in that, like day in and day out. It's just a different beast, right? And I had the size. I was blessed with the size, so I thought I had to do something with this. Too many people in my life have sacrificed to give me opportunities, right? I was fortunate enough to go to a private high school and a couple years of private middle school, and I had an opportunity when I was playing football for Bishop Almont, and we had a really good team, and we made a lot of noise and everything, and getting recruited as far as college. I was like, I need to get a college scholarship. I need to this is my way to do it. So I always. Yeah, it's an integral part of my life for so long. And I wouldn't say it wasn't everything. I was never like NFL or bust, right? NFL or nothing else, right? So that's kind of, I guess, to answer that question. But I was always, that was my why. That's a big thing that I love, a question that I was asked through football, what is your why? Like, find your why. And it's because a lot of people in my life sacrificed to give me this opportunity, and I wasn't going to waste it, I needed to make something of it. And it also comes to the sense of, like, you live now with with my Uncle Frank and everything, and you see he's in a medical condition, needs help sometimes. And so what happened was I grew up with my mom, and then for high school I went and left to live with my dad, and I kind of left that whole family, and they all raised me, right? More so than my dad did anyway.
I remember that.
Yeah. I got a letter, my 8th grade like retreat or whatever. Dad was like, "All right, son, time to come live with me and be a man." And I was all excited. I was like, "Yeah, cool, sweet, awesome." Um, so I did, and I kind of it was just a different part of my life, right? After all these people sacrifice so much, and they're humble people. They all help each other financially, and we're not don't come from too much, and always kind of paycheck to paycheck, bill to bill, right? Just making sure each member, like each house in the family, is kind of afloat, bringing each other dinners sometimes. But so I spent after I left you guys, I spent like all of high school and then it went into college, but years of my life away, just kind of crafting my own thing, like going to school, graduating from high school, starting to get a degree, and when I moved out of state too, I spent all this time on myself building my life, and I just appreciate that opportunity. But I always felt bad in the back of my head. I always felt like it was like I owed more, right? Especially when I heard the family struggling and people got sick and people needed care. And my older brother Matthew, which is like one of my heroes, he like put a lot of things on hold, and he was there with them the whole time. And he was still doing all this stuff online. He had his own business since he was like 14, his like computer repair business, and then he did a bunch of other stuff. Now he's like a marketing executive, but he was doing a lot of that stuff outside of that house, while helping my great grandmother, while helping everybody get along, while helping pay bills and employing my mom and her brother. Like, I always I was like, man, he's doing it. He's like the best person ever. I looked up to him a lot because he was taking care of the family. It's like we've talked about it. That's both of our big goals. We want to be able to take these opportunities and succeed with them and take care and give back, right? So, yeah, for so long I felt like it was kind of selfish to take this time to work on myself, but that was my why. I was like, all these people sacrifice. I need to make something of myself. I need to make something of myself so I can give back to them. Like it's non-negotiable. I need to be successful. Period. Right? There's no other option. And now I'm fortunate. I'm at the point in my life I have graduated. I have a business management degree. Shooting for that master's because there's an opportunity for it. Right? I'm not a big school guy. I was never like I want all this. I love communicating and I'm a good orator, so I can get through a lot of stuff. And especially if I can, make good handshakes with the teacher, go to office hours, I'm usually fine, get in their good graces. But I never wanted to get a master's or anything, right? But now it's just trying to build something, right? It's the foundation, trying to get to that success level where I can give back more. And like I said a while ago, this past year, 2021, I spent a couple months. I had an opportunity to leave earlier out of state, right, for this last year. I could have been in a dozen places across the country to play football, and that might have improved my football career, instead of taking that 6 months off and taking care of family and moving in over there and helping out like I did. But I really felt like I had to give back, So I'd say football wasn't my whole life. I'd say I prioritized things a little differently. And with a lot of football players, it is their whole life because it's a grand purpose. It's a greater purpose than yourself. You give yourself to this purpose that is greater than you, that everybody on the team is working towards this goal. And there's something profound, and I put that in my mind map of under, I think, glory, giving yourself to something that is greater than yourself, right? To have purpose. And I think everyone needs that. And for a lot of people, football is that outlet, and they don't know what to do when their time's done. Because at any point, that clock could be up, whether it's an injury or whether you're just lost, like out of opportunities. You don't know when the last game you're going to play is, the last time you strap on that helmet. And for a lot of guys, it's devastating when they go out of it. And I thought it would be for me too. I was not looking forward to it. And it was pretty emotional a couple games before the last one. But towards the last couple games, my daughter was born. A family man. I got my wife and my kid out here now. And it's just, I've ascended to a whole nother plane of like responsibility and purpose of giving something greater than myself, right? Now I am actively taking steps to achieve my primary goal of like being there for my kids, right? It's now like the greatest leadership position I'll ever have, like I said earlier in another podcast about it. the time is now, right? So when that time
Absolutely.
came, I never really felt it didn't hit me as hard. And to this day, even the couple nights ago, I had a dream about football. I love it. I miss it. Um, it's a great sport, and I miss playing, but not so much that it's like my everything anymore. Now it's about
Mm.
my daughter and my wife, and I thought I wanted to coach for a while to be a part of that, to give back to the role models and coaches that taught me, and I still do. I'm gonna have to do that at some point, but I think as far as like the business side of it and having to move around a lot, and I don't know if I want that for my family right now. I want to build something and get stable, and then once I'm late, I can do that later on, right? And there's other, like I said earlier, there's other aspects to coach. There's other aspects to talk about these things in life, to share that message. It's not just through football anymore. I can do this, through other formats. Um, so yeah, I think it's not my primary goal. It's kind of it's always been family, and I think that's why you picked up on it. Because honestly, when you said that to me right now, I was like, I was pretty serious about it for a while. I was like really trying there for a minute. Um, but being honest with myself, it was never do or die, and it was never like every single day being out there. You know, when I was, and other teammates can attest to this. I do bust my ass. I'm a hard worker, but it's like I said, I think I always had family at my core, and especially now. You know,
Mm. Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't mean to
I can
talk
tell
about
you've been.
myself for almost an hour, but
No, it's interesting. It's very interesting to hear that you're very passionate about your family, man, and it shows. It's always shown, as far as I've, my perspective from your behavior is. So I thought to myself, even when you were here for that, 5, 6 months, I thought, oh, that's interesting. Like I know for a fact you're in a place where you could be doing something that some people would consider constructive or productive for what it is that you're trying to do, and it's interesting how you reserve time to kind of come and step in and help, and you were very much needed, as you can
yeah,
attest to, so yeah, it's very interesting, just to even observe your philosophies and things like that, how as moving forward, how you're evolving, and it's very interesting. It seems like over time, like that core, even right now, it seems like you understand why you're getting up every morning. You
oh yeah,
understand why. Yeah, yeah, you got it. You got it. It is your wife. It is your daughter. It is your family. That's like that driving force. It's profound.
thank you. No, I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm not by any means by far the first guy to think about this or discover this or anything. I won't be the last, and there's tons of other people sharing this message. I'm very happy for it. Um, for a long time, there's even a guy on YouTube who's like, it's like he asks like, "Dad, how do I?" Right, and he does a bunch of different things like
Oh,
tying a
interesting.
tie, working on a car, teaching different lessons like that, right? And that's perfect. That's like the message, right? Be that person that
Yeah.
you didn't have. Um, in your life and in other people's because you don't know how it's going to affect them, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So true. Wow. Yeah, I love that. I love the emphasis on serving others before yourself. It's interesting because as you were going down the list of all these different elements that has been driving you, I was thinking like, man, there's a Bible verse for that. There's a Bible verse for that. There's a Bible, and yes, it's a biblical principle, to one of the verses that I committed to memory, that I really
Ding ding
love
ding.
is Jesus, I believe in Matthew 28:20 says, the Son of Man didn't come to this world to be served, but to serve and give his life for the ransom of many. And when I read that, um, it doesn't need to be interpreted, like it's
It
very
says
clear.
everything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so the idea is for us, all of us, to be doing the same thing if we're Christians, if we are modeling Christ. That's what our job is to do, is to wake up, and the idea is to serve our neighbor, or
Yeah.
our family, not ourselves, not ourselves. And you think about Jesus, like he could have had so many things, but here we have him, in the Gospels, you know, serving the needy, giving food and things like that, ministering to people that are considered the social outcasts. And you even alluded to it earlier. Yeah, the Pharisees did ask him, like, why are you with these sinners and tax collectors? Why are you with these people? If you're supposed to be the son of God, you're supposed to be from God. Why are you with these people? And he had to let them know it's not it's not the well that need a physician, but it's the sick.
Yeah.
It's the sick that needs a physician, you know. And so, yeah, that's what drives me is what does God want me to do? Everything else is secondary. The,
Really? I
the
was gonna
priority is
ask you,
what does
what's your
God want?
why? Like, what is your
Oh yeah,
why?
yeah.
Is that it? Like,
I mean, I don't want to because I can go kind of long as well, but yeah, my thing is what does God want? That is it's just to serve God. So that is, and essentially I actually have a verse here I'm going to read because I don't memorize it, but you know, uh, Matthew 6:33 it says, "But seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all other things will be added to you." So the idea is to
that again
prioritize.
says it all.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. So that's where my mind is, and I am noticing that God is very faithful. He's faithful. Yeah, you prioritize Him, and He'll take care of you.
No,
But yeah, yeah. But if we try to do our own thing, then it's you know
absolutely. I mean, part of my conversion story is all about that. You know, taking the time to humble yourself and recognize you need the Savior, and that just giving yourself, stop trying to control everything, giving yourself up to Him and following His path,
yes,
following the
yes.
signs, because there are signs. You know, I mean,
Oh,
I don't want to
absolutely.
get too much into personal experience or any divine anything, but there's clearly signs more than coincidence.
Yes,
That you can
yes.
see in your life. And I've seen all the signs that this is the right path and everything's worked out so well for us that I can't help but feel that, He's behind us in this, and it's His will. And that's all I want. And I pray, to continually for Him to show us the path and for us to keep doing His will. And it's just that verse says it a lot. And
Yeah.
I even put something in my vows. It was Second Timothy, I think. I don't remember the verse, but it was talking about like um,
Hmm.
serving your wife and it just being a good husband. I don't know if it
Yeah,
mentioned.
I do remember that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah. I
wrote
don't have the
that
verse
as
in
well.
front of me,
Yeah,
but it was like perfect. I was like looking like, oh
yeah,
dang, and it's Timothy. That's sweet.
yeah.
But it said you need
Right.
to basically like be the good husband and the good father and the family man and show your family to Christ, or else you're not someone of the faith. You're as bad as
Oh
someone
yeah,
who rejects
yeah,
the faith.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
wow,
yeah. That's pretty curious, right?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. One verse I actually was thinking about in regards to your journey, like actually this week, and it was brief. I don't know what I was doing, but I was just thinking of it because I was thinking to myself how um, God has been so faithful, like with your family, you know, and making sure that you guys are maintained and that you have everything that you need, you know, the family connection and all these things. And I was remembering in Proverbs, you know, the Bible says, "He who finds a wife, you know, finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord."
yeah,
And I was just thinking to myself, you know, being obedient to God with, you know, your decision to move forward with marrying your wife and God's honoring you. He's honoring you.
yeah.
He is, and he's
I'm
going to continue to do that.
I'm feeling the blessings absolutely. And when I
Yeah.
Julie took a picture and posted on Instagram of like me when I read the Bible to Aurora and stuff, and she looks so
I
cute.
seen it. I
She looks
seen
so
it.
cute in that photo,
Like
and the other
Austin
ones.
Aurora with
Yeah,
the evidence Bible.
and I'm just like I can't. I just get emotional about it. Like it's
Yeah, it's
just,
beautiful.
well,
It's
how can I
beautiful.
describe that other than God's grace? Like it's
There you go.
why would I deserve something like that, right? Like out of everybody, and how could I make something so pure and so beautiful?
Yeah.
And it's just all I want is to just do everything right and do everything good
Yeah.
for them, right?
Yes. 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 Love it, man. It's beautiful, man. Beautiful. Beautiful. God is so faithful, man.